I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank the Special Envoy of the Secretary General, Mr. de Mistura, for his report about the situation in the Syrian political track. On the 18th of December, in Geneva, an important breakthrough in this area occurred. We regret the fact that a number of members of the Security Council prefer not to notice this. As a result of painstaking and intense and difficult work pursuant to the decision made by the Syrian National Dialogue Congress and with the active assistance from the Astana Troika, what was determined was the composition of the Constitutional Committee. An important step, therefore, is made to settle the Syrian crisis on the basis of the Security Council Resolution 2254. On the same day, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Russian Federation, and the Republic of Turkey, as guarantors of the Astana format, conducted a trilateral meeting, as well as consultations with Staffan de Mistura, in the course of which they forwarded the list of candidates from the civil society to be included in the Constitutional Committee. This list was approved, let me underscore this, by Damascus and the Syrian opposition. Let me recall that the government and oppositional list for the committee had already been sent to Stefan already in May and July of 2018. The work thus conducted was highly valued by the special envoy, who noticed the considerable contribution of the Astana format in the Constitutional Committee. The ministers passed a joint statement, which was disseminated yesterday as an official Security Council document. It notes that in the course of the meeting in Geneva, the leaders of the ministers of foreign affairs of the three countries reaffirmed their commitment to assist with the start of the work of the Constitutional Committee, including through determining, together with the Syrian parties and the Special Envoy on Syria, of its overall guiding principles. What was especially underscored is that the spirit of compromise and constructive participation of its members is a necessary precondition to ensuring there is maximum support to the committee's decisions on the part of the Syrian people. An agreement was also arrived at to make efforts to ensure that the first meeting of the Constitutional Committee takes place in the beginning of 2019 in Geneva, and this will be an important step to prepare the constitutional reform in Syria, on the basis of which, according to Resolution 2254, the general elections are to be conducted. We're convinced that these steps will be the beginning of the viable and long-term political process led and implemented by the Syrians themselves with the assistance from the United Nations and in line with Resolution 2254 and the decisions of the Syrian National Dialogue Congress decisions in Sochi. We are grateful to Stefan for the active efforts he undertook to advance the political process in Syria and the help he extended to the Astana format, which, in our view, made a considerable contribution to help shift the armed confrontation into the political path. We are particularly grateful to Kazakhstan partners for their contribution to the launching and ensuring the Astana platform's functioning. We understand that some can be unhappy with the achievements realized through the Russia, Turkey, and Iran interaction. But they're always unhappy. And they're always not satisfied with something. And I'm referring to, first of all, those who are still nurturing the hope for a regime change within the framework of reorganizing the Middle East according to their standards. First, they were saying that the absence of the Constitutional Committee is a bad thing. Now, when we have the agreed list, they're still saying that that's not wrong, that that it's not satisfactory. There's no logic in this. All of those who are not going to move forward against the true wishes of the Syrian people based on geopolitical engineering, we call upon all of those to help the three guarantors of the Astana formats in order to launch what is needed for Syria, the Middle East, the entire international community, namely a comprehensive political process based on the decision passed by the Syrian National Dialogue Congress and Security Council decisions on Syria. At the same time, it's important to make sure that the results in the political track are also confirmed by genuine rather than declaration steps aimed at resolving the humanitarian issues in the Syrian Arab Republic and its post-conflict reconstruction. We have heard on many an occasion, first of all, from our Western partners, that increasing cooperation and lifting unilateral sanctions is only possible once there are real steps forwards in the settlement process. That this moment has come, and we hope that the colleagues will not renege on their words and not come up with new politicized conditions. We are not trying to create the impression that everything is fine in Syria. There are many problems which we will need to resolve in future. And first and foremost, this refers to Idlib, where the Turkish partners are making serious efforts within their commitments to separate the terrorist and moderate groups. Once again, we call upon everyone who can exert influence on them to counsel them. But the situation in Syria has indeed changed, and it changed for the better. Many states have realized that this has happened. We know the positive steps made by the regional states who are trying to normalize their relationship with Damascus. And we are hopeful that striving for fully fledged relations between the Arab countries with Syria and the quickest possible return of Syria to the Arab family will be in support of the Syrian settlement process in line with the fundamental principles of international law and the UN Charter provisions. Mr. President, we, the three guarantor states, managed to do something that we were called upon to do, what was insisted upon and threatened about. Would anyone else have been possible to do what we have done? Do you think that this was done simply by compiling our own list and giving it to Stefan? Let me emphasize here, what will be legitimate will not be the list that the small group agrees with, but rather the lists that the representatives of Syrian parties agrees with, Damascus and opposition. And that is exactly what happened. We are convinced that we all have a chance to launch a genuine political process for a lasting, sustainable settlement in Syria. And logically, for it to be based on the work is already done by the Astana Trio. The Astana Trio, in close coordination with the UN, stands ready to energetically work on this issue. At the same time, it is our view that the last word has to remain with the Syrians themselves. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.